فرجونا مقرب شينا ثيتو لتحرس تيذا أديوما بتحرس تيذا كي عمينا وحوريذا يقرو ديفيد ويليام لازار من كاليفورنيا لوجو بويو دمقابي دمناقي دونالد ترامب لمدبرونوثو دو بيتو حوارو بأمريكا وعلى الدهاوي مملو وكارخ حضور دوشولون وديفيد وجابرييل صوما وبروفيسور وليد فارس هاني مناقن خدتلوثو سريوي أو ثوروي أو وليد فارس مارونوي دمناقن خد مولوخي خد مستشار ادفايزر لدونالد ترامب ومدت كذعينا أعدو لتيو هانو شلاوي هوخا وهنك مقرحست إذا دكتور جابرييل صوما ولا ويليام ديفيد ويليام لازر مقرحي بدأ فثي مرة احنا هشلمنا قينا بس انه شي هوخا كثوي كنت مشغولين ايم قبل نثيذا كتيو بوليشون انجليشو جربنو بحاريتو دمالتمنو يومملو دمينا من مرلان كومانو برملوخ ديفيد برملوخ شابي يافشينو with us we have Mr. David William Lazar who has previously joined the coalition for Americans from Middle East coalition for Trump and now your candidate won the election. Can you tell us just what was the reason you chose to join the coalition of Mr. Trump, David?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me. The coalition came together about, if I'm not mistaken, maybe around April or May of earlier this year. This is a group of people that we had worked together, a group of individuals that we had worked together before. We decided to join efforts and work for the campaign of Mr. Donald Trump because we believe in his message and the change that he was going to bring, first of all, as Americans to the country to improve the economy of the country's situation of really no direction of stagnation of the last 8 years of Mr. Obama's administration. And also because of the chaos that we saw the area of the Middle East, that the area of the Middle East fell in the past, especially past 3 to 5 years. So we wanted change, and we knew that a Hillary Clinton administration would be a continuation of Obama's policy, if not worse. So we put our effort with, we threw our lot with the Trump campaign, and thank God we first as Americans we're happy that Mr. Trump won, and secondly as originally from the Middle East, we are also happy because we know there will be change coming to the region, and we believe it's going to be positive change.
Okay. Now that he won the elections, immediately our people spread on the social media that 3 Assyrians or Christians were appointed as advisors for Mr. Trump on the issues of Middle East, and you were mentioned as one of them. The other one was Dr. Gabriel Soma, and the third one is Professor Walid Fares from Lebanon. And that's not true, that you are not appointed yet, but what is going to happen to you after this coalition?
Well, I think the confusion was from we had posted on social media. Of course, nobody read it before Mr. Trump won, and there were articles written about us because many of our members were interviewed by different Middle Eastern media outlets and American outlets, and getting calls from Iraq. So that's so the one of the articles was mentioned. Our names were mentioned in it. We were out of this coalition, which was the American Mid East Coalition for Trump. which we worked diligently to promote Mr. Trump's among the Middle Eastern communities, different Middle Eastern communities in America. So we had secular Turks with us, Arabs from different countries, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, different ethnic groups and different sects of Christianity and Islam. So we had all come together, worked together to bring about and help Mr. Trump, and of course also to diffuse this image of Mr. Trump, negative image that the left the media or socialist media or the Democrats had portrayed Mr. Trump as someone who is against Middle Easterners or is against Muslims, and we wanted to portray an image that he is not. He is against political Islam. He is against Islamist, jihadist, regardless them being Sunni or Shia, and he is not against Islam as a religion. He is not against secular Muslims. He is not against moderate practicing Muslims and what have you. So our role was very critical, and I think we were successful in at least within the American community to portray Mr. Trump as he's not as against Middle Easterners or against Muslims.
But
That's why.
okay.
Yes.
Although you are not appointed as formally as advisors, you sure must have entrance or contacts within the administration.
Yes, we do.
The new administration, I mean.
Yes, we do. It's a friendly administration to us. We have access. We will have access. Unlike before, we didn't have. It was very difficult for us. It took some years actually for us to get to key people in the administration. But with this administration in place, more important that not only access, but we will have their ears. They will listen to us because we were with them from the beginning. So the term advisors, this is what I forgot to mention. Out of this committee, there were 5 or 6 selected as quote unquote advisors. I think this is where the confusion started. We were advisors to the American Middle East Coalition for Trump. Now this coalition has fulfilled its purpose and mission, and we will not be using that name again. We are transforming the group. Hopefully, we started the process of transforming a group, keeping the coalition together, transforming a group with a new name, and we will be registering it as a nonprofit, tax-exempt organization. So we'll do advocacy work to help the Trump administration, to help propagate democracy in the Middle East, and that will be the focus of the group. Now, again, we will have access, yes, to the new administration because we have friends and allies in the administration.
Okay, then what improvements do you expect as an Assyrian for the Assyrian people, especially, and the other oppressed minorities in the Middle East, especially in Syria and Iraq generally?
Well, I mean, remember, Mr. Trump ran on the platform that America comes first. So whatever is in the interest of America will take priority. So if the policy in the Middle East is in the interest of America to go a certain way, then that will be the direction. We as Assyrians need to align our interests alongside with the American interests. So we know the new administration will be against political Islam. So we have no problem with that. The new administration will promote democracy, real democracy in these countries. The new administration does not want the flow of refugees into Europe and America. So maybe create a safe zones within Iraq and Syria for the oppressed people or refugees, so they don't leave their countries. So there will be, we expect a lot of change. Of course, as Assyrians, we will be promoting the idea of the new governor, a new province, Nineveh Plain, and also a new province in Sinjar for the Yazidis, and a new province in Tal Afar for the Turkmen. And hopefully we can come together and form maybe a region for all these different minorities consisting of 3 different provinces. So these are the ideas that we will be promoting within the administration. And same thing in Syria. We want self-rule for our people on our ancestral lands in Syria as well. We want democracy in Syria. We're not going to just say, and Mr. Trump has made this clear, that Assad regime has to go. Fine, nobody likes a dictator, but what are you going to replace him with? If there is no replacement ready, then we're not going to, Mr. Trump is, and I'm not speaking on his behalf, but we believe that this is the situation, that this will go until a replacement is ready, then change will take place. The focus, and Mr. Trump has repeated this always in all the interviews that he's had, is to defeat ISIS and eradicate ISIS and its sisters like Al-Qaeda and other militant Islamist groups in both Iraq and Syria. So that will be the main focus.
Okay, Mr. Trump may not be aware of the forces, the other actors that have used ISIS for their own purposes, but you and me, we are very well aware of that. The Kurdish nationalists, may it be in Iraq or in Syria, have used ISIS as a tool to their project, to their codification of Assyrian land, Assyrian history. What do you think could happen from the administration if they still regard the Kurds as allies, as some kind of Democrats and in feminists and all that propaganda the Kurds have been successful to come out with? What do you think could change that when the conflict is between, let us say, Assyrians and Kurds when ISIS is gone?
Well, we will, I can assure you that we will be informing officials and letting them know what actually the Kurds are doing. So, and they, most people think, okay, administration, the Americans, they don't know that. No, they know. They have the best intelligence services in the world, so they're aware of exactly what's going on. We just need to be more active. We, as Assyrian Americans, as far as the American administration is concerned, because as Americans, we can, access our government, different departments and members of Congress. So we need to be more active, and we need to come together and form some sort of a coalition, or we don't have to be under one umbrella. There has to be some sort of coordination between us. Now, for example, the American Mesopotamian Organization, which is the organization that I lead, we have a unique opportunity that we will be submitting names that I don't think any other Assyrian organization has had before to different positions in the new administration. So we'll submit names of a few Assyrian individuals. So that doesn't guarantee that we'll take them, but this is what we will be submitting and recommending them. So that's a unique situation that we're in, that I don't think any Assyrian organization has been there before. So it's a lot of work. Nothing will be given to us easily. We have to work for it. And I was telling my wife the other day, my trips to DC will probably increase in numbers. If I'm not, there permanently, I'll definitely have to go more and visit more and talk to more people.
Let us talk about our situation in Nineveh, in Iraq, for a while. What's happening there among our own organizations, churches, patriarchs, and parties, organizations? What do you say about the recent development? Are you hopeful? Do you see any problems?
I was actually, I liked the initiative that was first, I think, started by the Church of the East, and then the Chaldean Catholic Church also hosted some of these meetings, or maybe the Syriac Orthodox. I think it was a positive. They were not some. I saw the statement that came out of organizations of Europe. I totally disagree with that because
Even Zoa made a statement to, in some way, to clarify that everything was not that like it was told at the statement there at that so-called protocol. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, for the churches, all three churches were just facilitating meetings so that the different parties come together. They were not conspiring. I mean, from the statement that I read, at least that's what I came back with. I was able to deduce from it that our brothers and sisters in Europe were thinking maybe the churches are acting or maneuvering to take control of take the leadership from the political parties organization that we have. I was aware of these meetings. There was a big push for these meetings to take place from the American side or the American administration, and so the churches were just facilitating this.
You don't think the churches have tight relations to Barzani and or acting in some way on his behalf?
No, the churches, all three churches, all our churches, not only three, all our churches have good relations with Barzani, and sometimes the Barzani clan pushes its agenda through them. But this was not, because I'm aware of what was happening in the background. This was not something that Barzani had pushed for, or the churches were planning on doing. This was something that the American administration wanted, and you know they were pushing for it, and the churches were the facilitators for these meetings to take place, and our different groups to come together.
Just a few days ago, Masoud Barzani made a statement telling that he had agreed before the operation of Mosul that he had agreed with the government of Baghdad, Haider Abadi, that every disputed area that Peshmerga would take from ISIS would be joined to KRG, and Abadi yesterday said that that was not the agreement. What do you say about this? Is it a ground for upcoming conflict between Arabs and Kurds?
I really don't think so. First of all, Barzani says a lot of things for local Kurdish consumption. You know, you have to think of him as which he really is, a tribal leader. So he knows there are tribal, members of his tribe that will keep listening to him, and they want to hear from him. And of course, all these were lies. That he had a meeting and agreed that everything deliberated by the Kurds will be kept by the Kurds. I mean, this is not a board game, a chess game, or a monopoly game. These are, there are international laws and agreements, and there's a constitution. The Kurdish KRG has to make up their mind. Either they respect the constitution or they don't, the constitution of Iraq.
Well, so, they are talking about the disputed areas, not others. Yeah.
Yes,
that was Nineveh and Kirkuk.
Yes, but disputed areas are not, let's accept the term for an argument's sake. Let's continue to call it disputed area. You don't go into disputed area and occupy it, then it's not disputed anymore. And I think really it's more because to take the pressure off of his administration, his corrupt regime, because it has failed. The KRG as an experiment has failed, if you want to call it as an experiment. It cannot pay its employees. Peshmerga or their militia fighting on the front lines. Nobody's paying their families. So it's a disaster. It's if it wasn't for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from the U.S., it would have basically collapsed. And so I think this is more for local consumption. I really don't see. And who's going to support Mr. Barzani if he confronts Iraq or the Iraqi military? Turkey?
Okay. Yes. What about Syria, the Kurds in Syria, and especially the YPG, the PKK branch? What do you think is going to happen after Raqqa is liberated or the ISIS is gone from Raqqa?
Well, I really don't think that we will go back to, of course, the way things were before the civil war started. So maybe a system of cantons or regions, also whatever you want to call them, in Syria would make sense also, as of course in Iraq as well. So, but then we have to be, as Assyrians, draw the line between our areas and the Kurdish areas. There has to be internal borders or between us and the Kurds, between mainly the Kurds, and of course between us and the Arabs also. We are promoting the idea of self-rule in Syria as well, and we work closely with Tajammu' Surya, Shabab Surya al-Umm, the GPF and the Sotoro. We also work closely with Assyrian Democratic Party, Gabba al-Turaya Demokrataya, and of course Naturat Khabur and Taltambal. So we work closely with them, and we support them politically and also in every humanitarian effort that we can. We do this also through the Restore Nineveh Now Foundation.
Yes, and now that Mr. Trump is elected, you see more chances to improve our situation as Assyrians in Syria as well?
Yes, I see more opportunity for us in both Syria and Iraq, not only in Syria, but both Syria and Iraq. For example, in Iraq, the Restore Nineveh Foundation, we've been working on it for the last 6 months. We have launched an initiative called From the Ground Up. We're prepared. We want to establish and revitalize the Assyrian and Yazidi local, economy. So we are focusing on giving money, lending it at zero interest to small businesses, and hopefully as we grow and bring in more capital, then we can finance bigger projects. So we are working on this, and we're trying to bring money from outside the Assyrian community. We're talking to several major corporate foundations to do this. And as soon as Syria is settled and there's more peace in Syria, there's security capital flows. So as you know, we helped establish, co-found back in 2014, the Nineveh Plain Protection Units. And now they are a recognized force, and they're working and fighting and recognized by the Iraqi government. Now we have moved from that, and we're now focused on the rebuilding phase, the restore phase. Remember, our motto in the Restore Nineveh Now was rally, secure, and restore. So now we are doing both rallying, secured, and the part of the restoration that we had not started. We began that, and then we accomplish that by bringing in capital, capital to do business, capital to reconstruct, and by working also with. We cannot do these things on our own. We need help. We need allies. And
I would say that we need some sort of Marshall help, like Europe got after the Second World War.
And that's what we focus on. As a matter of fact, We are working. We have someone in DC as we speak now that's working for us, advocating on our behalf to help us access such funds.
Okay. Taudi Sagi, do you have something you want to add before I try to translate in summary what we have said?
No, this is pretty much it. I thank all the people. I think there was a lot of excitement about what they read, but it was not accurate. I'm not saying it's not completely true. It is not accurate. We are close to the administration. This is a good administration. It will help the United States and actually the rest of the world as well. And it'll be very good for our Assyrian nation in the Middle East, and we will have access to this administration, unlike previous administrations.
Okay, Taudi Sagi, قد مناسينو بدوث البوليوم دد مشغيلا قفي سويث بكاريوثو دمينا علمن مشغيلا وحوريضا ديفيد ويليام لازار كمريشن وشو توسود American Mesopotamian Organization ميزونو وهي حما منو شد مشاتسي نينوي بلين فاند صندوق دي معدرونوثو ود هو لحيلاوثو د ام بي يو ود دحيلاوثو جي بي اف ودو سوتورو وكومر احنا بوعراقستي ميقم دوثينا لوشولو د ترامب قاي عبير التامو دعرينا ميحاريتو كومر احنا بوعراقستي بسورياستي كبعينا دهويلا دكثو يوثونيتو دروحينا خد شكل د بروفينس بوعراق وفركية بنينوي بو شلود نينوي وبو بسورياستي بيجوزرتو دهويلا دكثو دروحينا دلو دهوي او سيستم بشكل مادد كانتوني او د فيدراليستي احنا دهويلا اتحو ميدا دهون فريشي ما كردو فريشويث دلوينا فلقو مينايا على شمية دهوي وميدد هوينا روحينا كن منطرد ميدينا مع درونوثو مي شلطونوثو دبيتو حيورو مو ادمنستريشن دا امريكا وحاثو على كتني احورون ايضا مع نيلان تقمري وقوبويو وكت كو اذنوثيه كتلن يعني كشمعيلا كتلن ترعي كتلن كونتاكت سوري ادموطينا خد غير مينا ميق مينا نوشي وثروي معام ايضا شلاوي لكونتاكت ان امكانيات تاني علوشو لو اذا كيبد وشلود نينوي وطلب برزاني دمالله احنا متفقلا عن بغدد ويرعود انا رعوثد دودشت نينوي ود كركوك تكم قتلي عليه تكمنه ديسبيوتبل متنازعه هاني يدكثد وبشمرقد مخلصلا احنا لك مرفينا لا ميرول البرزاني هذا مقم تريت لثيومي بثر حيدر عبادي وريشو دوازيري من دوغليو كومر برزاني هاني كله لشندو اوبنيون لشندو رعيونو قاويو دلوغل دعا ميذي كومري كتلي قطري غلبه كتلي كوربشون غلبه كتلي فساد شحدو لقدر دوبا معاشة دنو شيذي وكتلي غلبه قطري رابه اي دربو قدوثه يعني قد سوي مميدانو مازال اي منطقة كم جد لي اعلى كميلة بو عربي متنازعة دانكم جد لي كل حكم رديدي اي دربو قدوثك محتالي لا فالك متياقن لو مدد دوما مرود برزاني شايلكم انه كيبد هاثد هيو علثو القروبو بين كردوي وعربوي كومر لقمت يقنو لانه من قدوثق معاون كل عن برزاني نقد مقاتل عمي دولة يعني من يحورون هذا وشو لوا وشو الذي قاموا موريشد مشايلي من ويعلثو ناقلخو دويتو كواليشن معاون ترامب كوم رحنا متيقنين اي بوليتيقيه ذي الامريكا ستيكو قد منضف لاقو معادل وفودي ومدى ما مثل ايكونومي اوباما هاني تمونيشني ومتيقنين البريثو كولا وفري شويث لو مدن حمص عويو وايلان خدعامو ستيك توي فايدة ولكوي خسارة علوشو ولدنو قيم رنخو هاتو مولوخي ادفايزرز مستشار هاتو كم رحنا مستشار وانا بو كولي شنانو قد ميناقي كتابة ترك كتابة طاي كتابة ما قابي كله مو مدن حمص عويو موخو عامو بلكي حشوي هاو مخربطي اتراني بحدوذي بس إذا دلو ينستي مستشار كتلان ترعي إذيناك مطيو لو بيتو حيورو زدنا ميقم هاو خاطريسو دوزي لي ديزي اوكي تودي تريسو تودي ساقي وحنا ديفيد ويليام لازار وهل تحرس تحرتو كمينا تودي ساقي كوشورو طلبينا با فلحونات خو
راب شيء
بس ما رابا تاودي ساكي